Twin flame abandonment. How can you put an end to this? Today I'm gonna be sharing with you where this common wound in the twin flame journey comes from, and of course I'm gonna share with you how you can actually heal this and never experience abandonment by your twin flame ever again. So let's get started. My name is Deborah. I'm a twin flame certified ascension coach with Twin Flames Universe and in union for over 2 years now, living with my twin flame Paco. So what is this abandonment that a lot of us have experienced at some point or another in our journeys? And that's a very interesting question. I would like to share with you this quote that one of my colleagues shared very recently in the Twin Flames Universe Open Forum, which I feel it's a very nice way to kind of like kickstart this conversation about the abandonment wound, which is one of the most common ones that we see in the twin flame journey. And the quote goes like this. It says, "The real abandonment wound came when you abandoned yourself because you thought you needed to be different in order to be loved." And I feel like a lot of us can relate to this quote. I definitely can relate myself to it, because what is at the core of this abandonment wound that twin flames may experience on their way to finding each other? And basically at the core is self-abandonment, like the quote was pointing out, is this place where we mostly out of fear have abandoned our thoughts or beliefs or what felt good for us, or even like our authenticity in certain situations, out of fear of believing that we are gonna be rejected or basically not gonna be loved. And this is something very common that we see on those who come or like awake to the twin flame journey, is them trying to find a solution to this feeling of their twin flames abandoning them, and how this can be shown in your union or in your journey, maybe in different ways. It may be that you're already in union with your twin flame, you're already having a relationship, but every once in a while they either ghost you, or they ask for like space from you, or they simply just kind of like disappear. I don't know, like maybe they kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna spend a couple of weeks at my parents or whatever, and not really looking to engage with you in a conversation to see what is happening. Now, I'm not saying that this is always like that, okay? Sometimes people do need to take a little bit of space from each other to kind of like figure their feelings out. But if you're resonating with this video, if by reading this quote and you listening to it, you realize that you resonate with this feeling, that there is something there, that at the core you do feel like you have this fear of being abandoned. If you embrace who you are, if you are true to yourself, then there's clearly something to pay attention to. It's probably a place inside of you calling for healing, and I'm gonna share in a little while how you can start doing this healing, how you can start peeling off these layers as if it was an onion to find peace in this place. Because the truth is that when we are true to ourselves, we can never experience abandonment, because first and foremost, we are there holding out our own hands. So abandonment can only happen when you are left alone, and when you don't leave yourself alone, when you don't abandon yourself, then there's no abandonment possible. And since your twin flame and you are created as one, and your dynamic functions as a mirror to each other, of one another, then of course when you stop abandoning yourself, you will experience your twin flame not abandoning you either. Another aspect that like how this abandonment between twin flames can be experienced is, and I feel like this is the case for most people, at least this is what I've been seeing in my over 5 years experience as an ascension coach and a twin flame coach, is that this abandonment comes mostly when trying to connect with this other person that you believe to be your twin flame, but there's no one there. And of course, like I said before, it's gonna be mirroring where you're absent in the relationship you have with yourself first. So let's get to the juicy part, because like okay, Deb, yeah, I understand the wound. I know that I have it. I realize that it's within me. How on earth do I heal this, that I no longer experience feeling or being abandoned by my twin flame? And that is a very good question. So I'm gonna share a little nugget with you, and of course we've talked about this over the course of our videos in our channel. It's the mirror exercise, Now, the idea is not to toss you like, oh, okay, just do the mirror exercise and all the problems are gonna be solved. The twin flame journey requires a little bit more support than just that, but the mirror exercise is a great place where to start. And I kind of already touched upon on this answer, like how do I heal this? And I'm gonna share with you how the mirror exercise kind of like kicks in this equation, because as I was saying, your twin flame being your perfect mirror means that they are just helping you become aware of where are you abandoning yourself, where are you abandoning your ideals, your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, in the hopes that you will be accepted and loved by other people when you are maybe not loving yourself first in this place. Now, this is not a topic that we are gonna unveil in 5 minutes or in a 10-minute video, of course. There's clearly many layers to the emotional experiences that we are having in our life, where we may have experienced abandonment. It may even have started in your childhood, for instance, where you didn't feel like your parents were there for you in the aspects that you needed the most. And this is also part of this abandonment wound that you then see again trigger when you wake to your twin flame journey. But most of us, like, I don't think there's any person on the whole wide world who hasn't experienced this at one point or another. There's people who have been already able to heal this wound. There are many different ways that you can go about it. We share the one that we use in our journey with my twin flame Paco, and it's been the tool that has been helping us in the process of coming into union, and of course healing these emotional wounds such as the abandonment one, in order for us to be able to be together and have a very healthy conversation about the things that we experience with one another in the relationship, which is exactly the aim goal. Like, you would like to find peace and at least a certain level of harmony in your relationship, also with your twin flame. Seeing that this is an emotional wound, that there are feelings connected to this experience of being or feeling abandoned, there are many ways to approach it. Depending on how deep it runs and how bad it feels to you and what the consequence is, maybe there was trauma, maybe there's some unresolved feelings, there are different venues that a person can choose. Of course, we are not here to replace psychological treatment when that is necessary, but we do want to offer a solution that can complement any medical treatment. So, how you can heal it, we mentioned already a few tips. I'm gonna recap. It's like abandonment comes from basically self-abandonment. So when you start choosing and learning how to not do that anymore, because at some point maybe it became a pattern, so you kind of like still repeat this behavior of abandoning yourself, of betraying yourself, and this is another wound, and we can go deeper in another video, of course, is by start to pay attention to yourself in these places. When you are having a conversation with a friend, a relative, or even your twin flame, how are you feeling? Do you feel like you are not really saying what you mean or what you believe out of fear of being rejected? And of course, there's a context for everything. Sometimes the situation is not the right time and place to be communicating something, but still you feel like in order for this other person to love you or accept you, you have to swallow this part and just act as if it didn't exist. Because if this is the case, then you would like to be addressing that feeling and finding ways to bring love to it. This is what the mirror exercise helps us with. This is where we can place in the first sentence the upset that we are having, how we are feeling about this certain situation or person, and then we transform this sentence back, and then we realize like, oh, maybe we were doing that to ourselves, maybe we were abandoning our own values in order to stay in a relationship with someone who might not be resonating with us anymore. And trust me, when it comes to your twin flame, there's absolutely nothing that you can do that will push them away, because your twin flame is designed to be your perfect lover. They will love you no matter what, unconditionally, above all else. So there's never a true reason to fear that when you speak up, your twin flame is gonna not love you anymore. You may trigger something in them, of course, like they trigger stuff in you, but this doesn't mean that once the core of the upset is resolved, you will not find each other again in that place where you're already one, where you already know that you love each other very much. So I would like to hear about your experiences, guys. Let me know how can we support you in your next steps in healing this abandonment issue, provided that this is what you would like to do. And we see each other on the next videos.